Now that Chong-Li is on the horizon, and is bound to be another character I'm finna skip until they introduce the alpha equivalent in Wuthering Waves, someone in my comments section, my boy Sealy, actually gave me the idea for a video, asking me who some of my favorite characters in Gacha are, and I'm gonna be quite honest, at first, I didn't think of doing this vid because I thought it was gonna be boring, but then, I thought, why stop at Wuthering Waves, like he said? I could explain why I have my favorites across all the gachas I played. Well, not all of them. There's just some gacha games that I just fucking hate with a burning passion to the point that not even the characters could save it for me. But then my mind began expanding, my brain began to spiritually open up to the universe and astral project across the stars as I had the idea, an idea that why don't I explain why they're my favorites using references from other characters. I'd love any excuse to talk about non-gacha related characters. I'm literally suffering over here being a gacha channel, and it'll take me a while to rebuild my viewership from square one if I change my niche, especially since I started recently making a couple of dollars here and there. But then again, I never cared much about viewership too hard. I do enjoy making the content I do, and like I said in a really old video of mine, I don't care if it's 1 viewer, or 2 viewers, 100, 1,000, as long as I was able to make someone's day enjoying my videos, then I did my job. I mean that on God, because I know slowly but surely I'll start getting loyal viewers more and more, and well, the next thing I know, I'm gonna be living the dream motherfuckers like Dark Viper AU be living. But my aspirations, brighter than the sun aside, I'm sure there's been a question on some of you guys' mind on why I love a character like Alpha so much. Why she's one of my favorite characters in almost all of Gacha, and trust me, I'm gonna explain that. But even before I get to it, there's a character that I love just as much as Alpha, some may say, that came into my life before. A character that first introduced me to the idea of super badass katana or daisho wielding female characters, and that was a couple years back. I mean, all the way back when my ass was just coming off of being a little jit. When I played a little game called Honkai Impact. Well, Honkai Impact 3rd. Now, I will say this, I never took Honkai Impact 3rd too seriously at first back in the day. It was just a gacha game I didn't really understand much of because I only ever played the same stages over and over and ignoring the story as soon as I got Raiden Mei. And then, the Hersher of Thunder. God, I loved her so much. And ever since then, I had been playing Raiden Mei-like characters, so you already know that when it came to Honkai Star Rail, I was all over Acheron, even making a full-blown series of trying to get her on my YouTube channel, even though I knew it would completely tank my viewership. I wasn't trying to hear none of that. I wanted to post my journey of getting the equivalent of the first quote-unquote motivated-like character I had ever been introduced to in the beginning of my gacha journey in the gacha world. Oh, and I guess Raiden Shogun's cool. I mean, you know, even though she's the most disappointing and embarrassing equivalent out of all the Raiden verse, why the fuck is yo ass using a motherfucking spear? But what is it about these characters that I love so much? Well, you see, the reason why I love characters like Alpha and Raiden and Buzenbo and oh god, especially Buzenbo Tengu. If you play her when she's in her A-rank version, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's because I used to be interested in a little game called Devil May Cry when I was a little kid. Now, admittedly, believe it or not, it was my dad who turned me away from the DMC series because of strange reasons. Nothing religious, just let's just say when I was a little kid, my dad would say things and do things that influenced a lot of my decision makings, even if I didn't like it. Anyways, I missed out on a lot of DMC time spent and lost years of experience of the game and stories in general. I was never keen on buying the games because of a certain someone, but I was always interested. As a kid, I was obsessed with swords, sword techniques, sword styles. I love knights, I love samurai, I love all those types of people that uses swords. And so, whenever I had the chance to use a sword character, I would be hooked for life. I used to play a game when I was a little kid called Shinobi on the PS2. I could make an entire video essay on how much I love Hotsuma, the Akujiki, and the story for Shinobi. You know what? Even take Elsword for instance too. If you guys know what this game is and played it at extension, I feel bad for you. Let's just say that. But I was obsessed with a character named Raven. I played all his variants, played all his classes, got to triple S rank in PvP, did a bunch of hard content on him at the time, got super cool gear with the help of my guildmates, and was most specifically fawning and drooling all over Blade Master Raven, which was a class that used a thin blade and was just super cool. You know what? Let me just go ahead and explain. Watching him slash through enemies, only for there to be a pause and then a multitude of slashes mid-air pop up was exhilarating. Watching his swordsmanship, summoning black holes with his Nasodian hand, and his cool and calm collected demeanor with his white and black trench coat and thin blade was so very peak. And so obviously when I finally came around to the DMC series years and years later, seeing that motherfucker Virgil struck a chord in me. I was vibing out my damn mind when one of my brothers from another mother was showing me this shit. I was like, damn, he cooking. But also, Dante and Virgil's story reminded me of a story I wrote personally of my own fictitious creations, so it made me appreciate Virgil and Dante even more. Plus, this has already been after the time that I was obsessed over characters that uses a katana or a katana-like blade. Katanas have always been my favorite weapon of all time ever since I was a little kid. I thought it was so cool and so amazing. I played the shit out of the DMC games as soon as I was able to get my grubby Niglet hands on one of them. God, seeing a character I love using a sword I love was just a match made in heaven in my brain. I was over the moon. I couldn't stop cheesing. Motherfucker might think I was Shale Gorath up in this bitch, mouth full of cheese wheels. But let me get back on track. And so, when I see these characters in these free-to-play gacha games that either use my favorite weapon of all time or doubles that with a similar fighting style or personality as Virgil or even Raven from Elsword, I'm all over them like flies on shit. It's insane how much time and effort and even sometimes money I would put towards trying to get these characters. Aside from the fact that I also just love female characters, there's also the fact that Acheron and S-rank Buzembo share something amazing. Transformation states. Now a lot of you guys know I am a huge Dragon Ball fan. I could sit down and explain every single arc, villain, big moment, and everything in between that stood out to me and the community. I could sit down and talk about Dragon Ball until my tongue falls off and goes inside of some kind of sewer drain as I have to go down there, fight Killer Croc just to get it back so I can continue talking about Dragon Ball. You see, Super Saiyans were absolutely the pinnacle of cool when I was growing up. I'ma keep it a band. So when I saw other forms of games and media having transformations, I loved it so much. I don't know anyone else who would love transformations more than me. It's insane. More specifically, hair transformations especially. So let's recap. Raiden, Alpha, Buzembo. All these characters I love because of their weapons and more or less edgy stories or backgrounds, or the fact that they just remind me of some of my favorite characters outside of Gacha. Or even the fact that some of them can just transform. But what else about them? Well, putting Alpha aside, let's talk about Acheron, aka and what in her powers that I love specifically, right? Let's see. What is it exactly that I love about it? I'm gonna give you guys a minute, okay? Got it? It's that motherfucking black hole, bro. I love space. I love how things work in space. My closest friends and family know that my absolute favorite all-time things about space is stars and black holes. These two things are stuff that I could talk about forever. Stuff that I can sit there and genuinely watch a documentary about forever. Strap me down in the chair and make me watch countless documentaries on black holes and stars, and by all means, I'll be enjoying myself until the day my kidnappers finally remember they left me locked in a room watching Peak. Seeing the way that Acheron utilizes black holes is insanely cool, especially coupled with her blade, and just knowing that she's got a black hole, a piece of IX in the depths of her soul, a black hole summoned by her life blade. Damn, I love it so much. Now that I got Acheron, there is no other character I care about anymore unless they decide to magically throw Farina into Honkai Star Rail. I'm pretty sure you guys could hear my dog arguing with whatever demons he's fighting right now, so just bear with my dog now being a part of the video. Now, one of my other favorites, the characters I also love that doesn't use katanas or have an edgy personality. I mean, I just mentioned if they released Farina in Star Rail, I would get her immediately. Well, believe it or not, there are other characters that I like that just don't have to be dubbed as motivated. And I could go on and on about how much I love them and why I love them, but this video would go on for way too long. So I'll just name them off without having to explain them too much. Maybe accompany it with a brief statement. So, Farina, because of her story, and she's the cutest, most adorable thing ever conceived by man. Arlecchino, Clorand, Zhongli, Hu Tao, Eula, Jean. Well, I can't exactly speak on why I love Jean and secretly obsess over her too much without getting demonetized. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed white women beware. But these characters all have amazing qualities that I love in a character in general, that were just good enough for me to want to play as them or pull them. I actually unironically have an entire video I never posted, recorded and edited, of me simply talking about how much I love Farina, her story, her personality, and her looks and design. Look, now that I'm actually looking at everything that I've got here, I could potentially make this video an hour-long video, so let me put this to rest for the time being. My next video, though, is gonna be talking about Calcharo, so be on the lookout for that one. But anyways, aside from all this, I want you all to take care, and peace.